The economy is not one-sided, that's for certain. Just by choosing a particular set of statistics, we can think that the economy is doing great. Sure, you can stick your head in the sand and pretend everything is just fine, but that won't change reality. If we look closely at all of the statistics, we get to piece everything together and figure out the truth. And that's why you came here for the truth, so let me unveil that for you. Today we are going to discuss what is happening with Americans unable to pay their bills. We're talking about their house, if there's a purchase like a mortgage or they're renting, talking about their general day-to-day bills, including electricity and food and so on. This has become a very big problem in the United States, and unfortunately it's getting worse. So we're going to talk about that today, and I wanted to begin with this article out of Market Watch. The finances of Americans may not be as good as they look from the outside. In this paragraph here, they get into an issue that I have discussed many times here on the channel, and I am happy to see it being covered in the mainstream news. Despite optimistic metrics like a 9-year-long bullish if volatile stock market, higher than expected job and wage growth, and consumer confidence levels nearing record highs, millions of Americans continue to struggle. And that's very, very important. When you think about it for a second here, that we have been in a bull market for this long. You look at the unemployment rate is 3.7%. You can take these jobs numbers that are fantastic. And that looks so good. And that's what the traders trade on. That's what the algorithms move by. But it's not the truth. Of course, it's just a small piece of the puzzle. If you break it down a little further, you find out how they calculate the unemployment rate, which is the BLS statistic, the Bureau of Labor Statistics, unemployment rate of U3. That is fraudulent because after a year, people get wiped off the statistics. If you're interested in understanding how the unemployment rate is calculated specifically, I have a video. If you do a search for why the unemployment rate is fake, the Money GPS, you will get that video. Okay, and that goes for the jobs numbers. I've done videos about that. I've done videos about consumer confidence and all of these other things. For example, with the 9-year bullish market, it has been propped up by central banks. If you want a video on that, I've done an expose highlighting what has happened with the stock market in the US, and it's on my main channel. So go there, you go to the Money GPS, the first video you see, that's the one you want to check out. Essentially what they don't want you to know about the stock market. It's titled something like that. And essentially what we're looking at here is a tale basically of two stories. And there's one that they provide you in the mainstream news, and there's one that's actually reality. And the reality includes everything, okay? You need to take everything, all of the information. And I've just explained why all of the statistics that they have brought to us are generally fake or exaggerated or manipulated in some way. Okay, I have completely outlined that in many videos before. I've talked about them in both my books and so on. I'm not going to waste your time here. All right. Then you have to look into the real data. You go around, you see tent cities, you see people sleeping on the streets, you see all these RV camps being set up everywhere. You have people sleeping in their vans. You have a real situation that's going on that is never, ever covered in the mainstream news and will never be highlighted by those in control. Only 28% of Americans are considered financially healthy. Now, they did this study here, and it was only 5,000 people in the US. I understand it's a small sample size, but it gives us just an idea. All right, we're not going to be able to determine what's happening with 300 plus million people. Okay, they're not going to do a survey that big, but it gives us that small idea of what could be happening. So maybe the numbers, they're exaggerated in one way or another, but we use them as a guide. Financial health enables family stability, education, and upward mobility, and not just for individuals today, but across future generations. Many are dealing with an unhealthy amount of debt, irregular income, and sporadic savings habits. All three of these things are what I've covered so many times here on this channel. There's way too much debt on the individual level. There's way too much corporate debt. There's way too much debt for each city, state, province, and nation. Every single level has too much debt. Irregular income because you have a lot of temporary workers. They're becoming Uber drivers and they're delivering food, and they have, dog walking apps that people are making money with, and they're doing things on the side. They're getting a lot of part-time and temporary work when they really just want to be working full-time hours in what you would call a normal 9 to 5 time frame. Okay, that's what a lot of people want, not everybody certainly. And their spending habits, of course, are quite terrible. But we're looking at this at the very bottom, and I think this is crucial to understand. Some 44% of people said that their expenses exceeded their income in the past year, and check this out, and they use credit to make ends meet. That to me is so telling, because imagine nearly half of people had to use some sort of credit, whether it's credit card, whether it's some sort of loan payday advance, whether they need to use a line of credit, their home equity line of credit, personal line of credits, all these different things that they have, and they required that in order to pay their bills. How in the world is that sustainable? How is that not being covered? Another 42% said that they have no retirement savings at all. I don't want to get into the issue of real estate because it's so unbelievably mind-boggling expensive territory right now. Financial stress visits renters more than homeowners. All right? Rental costs are rising much faster than renters' salaries. Between 1960 and 2016, the median income for a renter grew by just 5%. During the same period, the median rent ballooned by more than 60%. And you look at this is, by the way, accounting for inflation. This is just a small piece of the puzzle telling us that the price of homes, which gets into the purchase of homes in the last paragraph, the price of homes are exceeding far faster than wages. And we've covered that before. To be sure, buying a house has also become harder for many Americans. To do so now costs 4 times the median household income. The home ownership rate fell to 63% in 2016, the lowest rate in half a century. Of course, this number of 4 times is actually quite low. And that number there, when you look at an area like San Francisco, Seattle, New York, LA, and so on, I'm sure these numbers are a lot higher. When you look at a place like Vancouver or Toronto, these numbers are at least double. Okay, more than double that. It's impossible. It's just what you're earning to be able to afford a home is not possible. And I say not possible, and not to be, say it tongue-in-cheek. I'm actually being serious, because a lot of these people are going to go bankrupt as a result. They've been buying these homes, they've been getting the $500,000, $1 million mortgages, and they think they could pay it back. The bank has told them they could pay it back, but they won't be able to do so. They don't understand what's about to happen, and so they will have to pay the price. There's just no other way around. All right? Southern California suffers its worst housing slump in over a decade. The number of new and existing houses and condominiums sold during the month plummeted nearly 18% compared with last year. That was the slowest September since 2007. And we know what was happening right around that time. Okay, so it gets into more of the details of that. San Francisco Bay Area home sales suffer their slowest September in 11 years. Okay, so we've got some issues going on right now. Definitely. It's obviously very expensive. Okay, let's not deny it. San Francisco, it's pricey. It's expensive. Even on a global scale, we're looking at these homes being very expensive. You can compare this to other areas in the US, and it's extremely expensive. You compare it to just, the national level, it's expensive, okay? But the point is that the sales are continuously slowing down. And we see that. Sure, look at the price. I understand. Trust me. I always see the comments. Trust me. I got you. New York City owes over $100 billion for retiree health care. Liability has increased by $40 billion over a decade. Healthcare liability exceeds the city's $93 billion bond debt. New York is another one of the cities that it's just not doing well financially, and that goes for pretty much all of them. But with a city with such a large population, it needs to do a lot better than this. Okay. There's a lot of details in here. I don't know if I want to cover it all, but essentially, we've had a problem here with many of the states with their pensions. We've seen the problems that have risen up throughout the years, whether it's, oh, sorry, we're going to have to cut your pension now, or different groups learning the hard way that they're going to suffer in one way or another. How about all of these different countries that have implemented new rules to increase the retirement age? What if you can't even work? What if you barely made it to the age of retirement, maybe 65 or so? And now they're raising it to 67, 68, 71. What are you going to do? You have health complications. You've got problems. You've got family members that need your undivided attention every day. They're not doing well. And you just needed to work another year. If you could hang in there. And what happens? They change the rules. If you found this video informative, please give me a thumbs up. When you give me a thumbs up, it helps to support this channel. And last but not least, if you want the financial education that you were not taught in school, well then, these two books have it all. You can actually flip through these books at Amazon. There's a link in the description of the video, so check that out below. And if you're more interested in the audiobook version, which many people recently have been getting, that's available at themoneygps.com, and you click on the store link. Take care.